The world as we know it is ending in our faces. Look around you. All the signs are there. And one thing is becoming clear to some people, that the people in power don't value any of the currencies around us, but rather value the power of control. That is the only currency that's valuable to them. And before you, there's two timelines right now, based on the decisions you make and where you'll end up. On one side, you have the New World Order, a digital cage designed to take away even more of your power, and really the essence of who you are as a human being. On the other side of this is the New Earth, maybe a spiritual concept, but the idea of becoming more human, activating abilities within you that you may have not even realized you had, abilities that have been kept hidden from you and have been waiting to be expressed at a time like this. And so, what is this New World Order? What is this system of control? It's this idea that's been chipping away at who we are as human beings. We're not meant to be going through school, working all these different jobs, and going through this process of becoming less and less imaginative, less and less creative, less inclined to express things in a very free way. There's orders and expectations to everything you've done in your life. And you may have noticed some people step outside of that box now, where they were never able to. But this is the very choice you're able to make. And there's a few things you can do. Actually, one really important thing that you can do, that if you did in this video, well, after this video, you'd start to see massive changes happening in your life. And that's because there's other doors open to you now that weren't open to you. And all you need to do is walk through them. But let's talk about this world that we're in right now first. This world is clearly ending. We see that through the financial system, through people and the relationship to jobs and the work they do. People waking up and realizing that they're no longer willing to go to work. And you may be one of these people. No longer willing to go to work for something that you're no longer aligned with. Something that's not serving you in a very deeply spiritual kind of way. That's because there's other parts of you that are now waking up. And this New World Order is nothing new. Even though it sounds like New World Order, it's actually nothing new. It's a system that we grew up in, going through institutions, going through many years of schooling. Think about it. The way you go to school is very similar to the way we work our jobs, right? There's a supervisor. You're expected to work hard. There's a pass and a fail. There's a certain type of grading on your performance. We weren't meant to live like this. There's so much more available to us. And it's those who tap into their uniqueness that will be able to truly express and open up parts of themselves that allow you to thrive in this new world that we're going into. These timelines are sort of splitting off, and over time it'll be harder to jump from one side, from the New World Order, to the New Earth. But what you can do right now is realize that you've been part of a system that's always rewarded you for fitting in. Let's go back to the school analogy. If you didn't fit in and you stood out, I remember doing assignments through school, and I'd always want to express my own unique opinion. And this is the very reason why I didn't do well in school. For most of my schooling, I didn't do well, because I always had something different to say. And I wasn't fitting in the box, the program, the grading sheet. I was always outside of that. And so I defaulted to the lowest grades. But growing up, the system was very much the same. Going to the paramedic academy, standardized education in university, standardized education throughout your history of education, being incentivized to fit in. And then once you actually start going to work, being incentivized to follow the plan, to follow the guidelines, to fit in like you're a cog in a giant machine. And this machine's only getting more intricate and binding people to it in a way that they can't leave. But there's unique opportunities here because this new earth that I'm referring to is this ability to actually express your uniqueness as an individual, which would also mean stepping out of the comfort zone, out of the familiar lifestyle, out of the familiar way of work, which is very much tied to an egoic way of living because it's only trying to keep us safe. But this part that wants to keep us safe thrives only on one thing: fear. It is this, I say the currency of control, but really the currency of control is fear. They use fear to keep you in a lower level state of mind, to keep what we call your lizard brain active. This part of you, very primitive, developed part of you, one of the first parts of your brain that developed, that was designed to keep you in a state of lust, to want sex, to want food, and to look for fear, using fear to keep you in control. I mean, this has served us well up until now, when we were hunting on the plains of Africa, or moving through the forest, or living in tribes, or living in caves. This ability helped us survive. But this in this modern day and age, this ability has almost been used against us, has been used against you to keep you in a state of fear. Because when this lizard brain part of you is active, the higher parts of your consciousness can no longer be accessed. And if you're only in a state of survival, as David Hawkins says, the survival paradigm, this lower level emotional state, you are actually in a lower level of what we call a vibration, a lower level of energy, which results in you living life passively. You're living life as a sort of passive cog in a wheel. And now this might get you worked up a little bit as you realize this. But you're no longer tethered to the fear as soon as you realize this fact. And as soon as you realize this fact, you realize there's the ability to raise your level of consciousness. And in raising your level of consciousness, through the simple act of relaxation, to relaxing your nervous system, and dropping into a state of silence, you can now hear those intuitive whispers, what we call the higher self, this part of you that is no longer tethered to this lizard brain. It is your fearless self. And think about what your fearless self would be doing. Would they be living where you're living right now? Would they be in the relationship you're in right now? Would they be working the job you're in right now? And one or more of these things might not be true for you. But when you get into this higher state of consciousness, through the very thing you can do is the act of meditation. A simple way to relax yourself, go somewhere quiet. Put away the phone. We're surrounded by digital distractions everywhere we go. And these phones that are tethered to us, as soon as you open your phone, you see a string of notifications. You're immediately beginning to engage this lower level part of you, this lizard brain. The phone and the apps on it are maybe the most effective device at keeping you away from this higher timeline, this higher version of you, this alternate version of you that is your fearless self, that can take action and is no longer tethered to these systems that have kept you sort of comfortable and rewarded for being comfortable, but also rewarded for being subservient to something that takes away your control and your higher level human abilities. So this is a critical decision point here. I cannot stress that enough. That there's two timelines in front of you here. One that passively continues to live life on other people's terms as a cog in a giant machine. And another part of you that begins to drop into silence, that begins to listen to that whisper that's been trying to tell you something for years, that can actually save you from this timeline, this control system that's only going to entrap people more and more and more as time goes on. That world where we could passively just work our jobs happily, get paid, get our homes, build a family, and do such things is ending. That world is over. But you can build a new life for yourself. Now is your opportunity. This is your opportunity, and the window for this is not very large. This is the decision point right here. So what are you going to do? Are you going to act and drop into meditation? Are you going to activate these higher levels of mind? No longer associate with your lizard brain that's constantly trying to keep you in a state of fear through the devices and this current day and age we're in? I have a meditation here to get you started. If you've never done meditation before, this is a powerful, easy way to begin shifting your life in a very dramatic way. Until next time, peace.